The Dark Lord who tamed a warring world of silk and honey. Prologue: The first cracks in Insectopia. The council chamber of the spider castles breathed with a low, tremulous hum, the sound of 1,000 silken threads vibrating in distant corridors. Queen Azhara Silkweaver sat upon her throne of living wood and woven steel, her 6 arms resting with practiced poise, though her fingers twitched with the faintest tremor. She hoped no one noticed. The chamber was full. Ministers, generals, elders, and the quiet presence of the tickfolk and scorpionkin who stood respectfully at the edges, their varied forms casting long shadows across the polished stone. All of them were her people. All of them looked to her. And all of them were waiting. The doors opened with a whisper of silk, and 2 of her spies entered, slender, dark-clad arachnids whose humanoid faces were half-masked by chitinous ridges. Their psychic resonance brushed the edges of her mind like cold fingertips. Behind them came the web weavers, older spiderkin whose bodies bore more bestial traits, elongated limbs, thicker exoskeletons, eyes that glimmered with 8-fold reflection. They carried the tension of the entire western forest in their posture. "Your Majesty," the lead spy said, bowing low. "The web has heard much." Azhara inclined her head, granting permission. The spy's voice deepened as he connected to the psychic lattice of the spider network. The Beetle Accord and the Mounding Empire have begun open hostilities. Their armies clash in the eastern wastes and the northern mountains. The Accord refuses to yield. The Empire refuses to slow. A murmur rippled through the chamber. Azhara felt it like a vibration in her bones. The second spy stepped forward. "Bandit raids have increased along the Forsaken Lands. Entire caravans vanish. Settlements report hunting parties." Azhara's heart tightened. She kept her face serene. "And the Hive Right?" Minister Velra asked, her voice thin with worry. The web weavers shifted uneasily. The lead spy hesitated. Azhara's voice softened. "Speak." "The Hive Right has sent a diplomatic delegation," he said. "They claim to seek alliance." Azhara exhaled slowly. "Claim?" The spy's eyes flickered. "We intercepted whispers in the Buzz network. Their true intent is unknown." Unknown. Azhara hated that word. Unknown meant danger. Unknown meant she would have to pretend she wasn't afraid. She rose from her throne, her tall, elegant form casting a long shadow across the chamber. Her exoskeleton shimmered faintly beneath her robe, sleek, refined, more humanoid than most of her kin. A gift of her lineage. A curse of her lineage. Her great-grandmother's pact with the Dark Lord had shaped her bloodline, granting her power, intelligence, and a form that made her seem almost other. She felt the eyes of her people on her. The tickfolk with their small, round bodies and bright gemstone eyes. The scorpionkin towering like living statues, their tails curled in silent vigilance. The older spiderkin whose mandibles clicked softly in anticipation. All of them waited for her to be strong. All of them waited for her to be unafraid. She wished, just once, that someone would tell her it was all right to tremble. But she buried the thought deep, sealing her psychic resonance behind the mental walls she had perfected since childhood. No one could know how lonely she was. No one could know how desperately she wished for someone to hold her the way she held her people. "Prepare the halls," she said. "We will receive the Hive Right delegation with eyes open." The council bowed. The spies withdrew. The web weavers melted into the shadows. Hours later, the delegation arrived. They came adorned in gold and amber, wings folded neatly, stingers sheathed. Their leader, a wasp noble with a polished carapace, bowed deeply before Azhara. "Queen of the Arachnids," he said. "We come in peace." Azhara's psychic senses prickled. Something was wrong. The wasp's mind was too quiet, too controlled, too rehearsed. She opened her mouth to respond, but the first blade flashed before she could speak. The coup erupted in a storm of wings and venom. The wasp noble lunged for her throat. Beast soldiers drew hidden stingers. Hornet guards leapt from behind pillars. The chamber exploded into chaos. But the Arachnid Dominion was not unprepared. The web weavers descended from the ceiling like shadows given form. Tickfolk darted between legs, biting with venom that paralyzed instantly. Scorpionkin roared, their massive claws crushing armored bodies like brittle shells. Azhara herself moved with lethal grace, her 6 arms weaving patterns of psychic force and razor-sharp silk. Within minutes, the delegation lay dead. The chamber stank of venom and fear. Azhara stood in the center of it all, breathing hard, her heart pounding against her chest as she kept so carefully sealed. Her people looked to her for reassurance. She gave them a calm nod. "See to the wounded," she said softly, "and prepare for war." Because war was coming. The Hive Right would not forgive this. The Mounding Empire would seize the opportunity. The Beetle Accord would be dragged deeper into the conflict. The Forsaken Lands would grow bolder. And the Arachnid Dominion, her dominion, would be caught in the center. As the bodies were cleared, Azhara walked alone to the balcony overlooking the western forests. The wind carried the scent of pine, earth, and distant rain. She closed her eyes and let the breeze touch her face. She thought of Darklore. 3 times in her life, she had heard whispers of that place. Of its impossible prosperity, its floating sanctuaries, its roads that never cracked, its fields that never failed. Travelers who visited never wished to leave. Some said the air itself was enchanted. Others said the Dark Lord walked the streets unseen, ensuring harmony. No one knew the truth. No one dared ask. Her great-grandmother had made a pact with him once. Azhara had never been told the details, only that the pact had saved their people from extinction. And now, she wondered if she would have to call upon that pact again. She pressed her hands to the railing, her fingers trembling despite her will. She was queen. She was protector. She was the one who assured others it would be all right. But who assured her? Who held her when the world cracked? Who whispered to her that she was not alone? The wind did not answer. Behind her, the council approached quietly. Minister Velra spoke first. "Your Majesty, what are your orders?" Azhara opened her eyes. The forest stretched endlessly before her, dark and ancient and full of secrets. She straightened her shoulders. "We prepare," she said, "for the continent edges toward total war." And in the quiet of her sealed mind, she whispered a thought she would never dare speak aloud. "Dark Lord Carrion, if you can hear me, I need you." The wind shifted. And for a moment, just a moment, she felt as though something far away had turned its gaze toward her. Something ancient. Something powerful. Something that remembered her bloodline. She shivered, not from fear, but from the strange, fragile hope that she might not have to face the coming storm alone. Chapter 1. The Web Under Siege. The war map shimmered beneath the glow of bioluminescent fungi as Queen Azhara Silkweaver stood before her council once more, her 6 hands resting lightly on the carved edges of the table. The spider castles had always felt alive, their walls humming with the faint vibrations of the spider network, but today the resonance carried a deeper, more urgent tremor. The air tasted of tension, thin, metallic, and sharp enough to sting the tongue. Lord ThrYX Web Warden, commander of the Arachnid Rangers, leaned forward, his mandible-scarred jaw tightening. "The Beetle Accord and the Mounding Empire have reached a stalemate," he said. "Our scouts report the wastes are littered with shattered carapaces. Neither side yields." Minister Velra Loontongue shook her head. "A stalemate only means they will look outward for advantage. And we are the nearest prize." Azhara listened, her expression serene, though her heart beat a little faster. She felt the psychic threads of her people brushing against her mind, fear, frustration, exhaustion. She kept her own resonance sealed behind the walls she had built long ago. If they sensed her fear, it would spread like venom through the Dominion. A sudden ripple of psychic static swept through the chamber. The web weavers stiffened. The spider network was speaking. Azhara raised her hand. "Let it through." A young spy stepped forward, his eyes clouding as he connected fully to the lattice. His voice deepened, layered with the whispers of 1,000 silken threads. "Commander Thorn of the Hive Right has mobilized the southern armies. They march toward our borders." Azhara's stomach tightened. "How many?" "Too many," the spy whispered. Their wings darkened the skies over the southern groves. They move with purpose. Tickfolk chittered nervously. A scorpion-kin warrior shifted his massive tail in agitation. The council chamber vibrated with unease. T'Charayax slammed a fist onto the table. Let them come. We will show them what it means to challenge the Dominion. Azhara admired his fire, but she knew the truth. The Arachnids were strong, silent hunters, masters of ambush and terrain, but the Hive Right's numbers were overwhelming. Their stingers could pierce even hardened exoskeleton. Their flight gave them reach the Arachnids could not match. We will hold the line, Azhara said, her voice calm. But we must be cautious. The Hive Right does not act without reason. Velra frowned. Reason? They attempted a coup. Their reason is conquest. Azhara did not respond. She felt something else beneath the surface, something orchestrated. The Hive Right had always been proud, but not reckless. Someone was pushing them. The spider network rippled again, sharper this time. The young spy gasped, clutching his head. Azhara stepped toward him. What do you see? His voice came out strained, layered with static. A message. From the northern tunnels, from the Mounding Empire. The chamber fell silent. The spy's eyes rolled back as the network forced the truth through him. General T'Charayax, the disgraced one, he has been contacted. Promised reinstatement. Promised glory. Promised revenge. Azhara's breath caught. Rak. The termite general she had defeated 10 years ago. The one who had sworn he would see her throne crumble. The one whose hatred burned hotter than any forge. The spy continued, trembling. He marches with the Hive Right. He brings ant troopers and termite shock units. He comes for the spider castles. Azhara felt the world tilt for a moment. Not visibly, never visibly, but inside, where her fear lived like a coiled serpent. Rak was brilliant, ruthless, and consumed by spite. If he had allied with the Hive Right, then the South would not simply attack, they would invade. T'Charayax cursed under his breath. The Mounding Empire stirs the pot again. They want us weakened before they strike. Velra's voice trembled. We cannot fight both the Hive Right and Rak's forces. Not alone. Azhara knew she was right. The Dominion was strong, but not invincible. Their warriors fought with precision and ferocity, but they were few compared to the swarms of the South and the legions of the North. She felt the eyes of her people on her again. Waiting. Hoping. Needing her to be unshakable. She wished she could tell them how tired she was. How heavy the crown felt. How the silence of her chambers at night pressed against her like a weight. How she longed for someone, anyone, to tell her she didn't have to carry everything alone. But she only straightened her posture and folded her hands behind her back. Prepare the southern defenses, she said. Evacuate the border villages. Fortify the groves. T'Charayax bowed. At once, my queen. Velra hesitated. And what of Rak? Azhara closed her eyes for a moment. She saw Rak's face in her memory, twisted with rage as she defeated him, his pride shattered, his future stolen. She had spared him then. Perhaps she should not have. We cannot face him alone, she said softly. The council exchanged uneasy glances. Azhara turned toward the balcony, the wind brushing her hair like a whisper. The forest stretched before her, ancient and vast. Somewhere beyond them lay a land of impossible prosperity, where roads never cracked and fields never failed. A land whose people never wished to leave once they entered. A land ruled by a being older than any empire. Dark Lord. Her great-grandmother had made a pact with the Dark Lord once. She had hoped never to call upon it again, but hope was a luxury she could no longer afford. She opened her eyes. Send word to Dark Lord. The council gasped. Velra stepped forward. Your Majesty, are you certain? Azhara nodded. We have no choice. T'Charayax bowed his head. Who will you send? My most trusted spies, she said. Those who can move unseen. Those who can reach Crystal Lake before the Hive Right cuts off the roads. The spider network pulsed in agreement, its threads humming with urgency. Azhara turned back to her people, her face calm, her voice steady, her fear buried deep where no one could sense it. Go, she said, before the web tears. And as her spies vanished into the shadows, she whispered a silent plea into the wind. One she hoped would reach the ears of the being her bloodline had once bargained with. Dark Lord Carrion, hear me. The wind shifted, and somewhere far away, something ancient stirred. Chapter 2: The Waters of Darklore. The journey to Crystal Lake took the Arachnid spies 3 days of silent travel through ravaged lands. They moved like shadows across the forest canopy, slipping between branches and weaving temporary bridges of silk where the terrain broke beneath them. The air grew colder as they neared the center of the continent, where the mountains rose like jagged teeth and the sky seemed to hang lower, as if watching. Crystal Lake appeared suddenly between the trees, a vast mirror of still water that reflected the sky with unnatural clarity. The spies paused at the shoreline, their instincts prickling. The lake was too quiet. No birds, no insects, no wind. Then the surface rippled. A shape rose from the water, tall, humanoid, sculpted from translucent bluestone that shimmered like liquid glass. Its eyes glowed with soft white light, and its movements were fluid, graceful, almost gentle. Identify yourselves, the golem said, its voice resonant and calm. The spies bowed deeply. We come from the Arachnid Dominion. We seek audience with Darklore. The golem tilted its head. I am Flood, first golem of the Crystal Lake. You stand within the borders of Darklore. State your purpose. The lead spy stepped forward. Our queen invokes the ancient pact. We seek aid. Flood regarded them with a stillness that felt like contemplation. Though he was not alive in the way mortals were, something in him resembled thought, an echo of the mind that created him. You carry urgency, he said, and fear. Follow me. The lake parted around him as he walked, forming a path of hardened water. The spies followed, their feet tapping lightly on the cool surface. Beneath them, shapes moved, other golems, dozens of them, rising from the depths like silent guardians. Their bodies shimmered with shifting patterns of water, each one unique, each one powerful. The spies stiffened, realizing how easily they could have been destroyed. Flood noticed. Do not fear. You are under my protection, and by extension, under his. His voice softened, almost wistful. The Dark Lord values loyalty, and he values those who seek him with honest intent. They reached a structure at the lake's center, a crystalline tower rising from the water like a shard of frozen sky. Inside, glowing conduits pulsed with energy, carrying messages across Darklore's vast network. Flood gestured toward a circular platform. Stand here. The spies stepped onto the platform. Flood placed his hand upon a pillar of light, and the chamber hummed with power, creating the image of a great council room before the Arachnid girls. A projection formed, an assembly of winged, armored figures, the Darklore Council of Many Wings. The lead counselor spoke sharply. Arachnid Dominion? We have no quarrel with their enemies. Darklore remains neutral. The spies exchanged uneasy glances. Our queen. Your queen's troubles are not our concern, another counselor interrupted. We cannot risk involvement in foreign wars. Flood's eyes dimmed slightly as if disappointed. Counselors, the pact. The pact is ancient, the counselor snapped. And irrelevant. The spies felt despair creeping in. They had come so far. Their people were dying. Their queen was desperate. And now, the chamber darkened. A presence entered, not through the door, but through the air itself. The light bent. The conduits dimmed. The water outside stilled. The Dark Lord Carrion appeared at the edge of the platform, his cloak trailing behind him like a shadow-given form. His eyes glowed faintly, not with malice, but with an ancient, unreadable depth. The council fell silent. Flood bowed deeply. My lord. Carrion's gaze swept the room, settling on the spies. Speak. The lead spy swallowed. Our queen. Queen Azhara Silkweaver invokes the pact made by her great-grandmother. The Mounding Empire and Hive Right march against us. General Rakhti Charwanti leads them. We cannot stand alone. Carrion stepped closer, his presence filling the chamber like a storm. And what does she offer? The spies hesitated. She offers alliance, aid, cooperation. Carrion's expression did not change. That is not enough. The spies felt the air tighten. Carrion's voice lowered. If I intervene, if I save her people, then she will belong to me. The words struck like a blade. The spies froze, unsure how to respond. Flood spoke gently. My lord means no harm. Carrion did not correct him. The spies bowed their heads. We will deliver your terms. Carrion nodded once. Flood, escort them home. Ensure their safety. Flood's form brightened. At once, my lord. The lake rose around them, forming a spiraling column of water that lifted them into the air. Flood moved with astonishing speed, the water carrying them across forests, ravines, and battle-scarred plains. The spies clung to him with silk lines, their bodies trailing behind like banners. Flood spoke as they traveled. He is not cruel. He is not unkind. But he is alone. And he has watched the world for longer than any of us can imagine. The spies listened, the wind roaring past them. He hopes, Flood continued softly, that your queen will not fear him, that she will not turn away. He hopes she will share herself with him, because he has no one to share with. The words lingered as they approached the spider castles. When they landed, the spies rushed to the throne room. Queen Azhara listened in silence as they relayed Carrion's terms. Her face remained calm, but her heart twisted. To save her people, she would have to give herself to a being older than empires. She closed her eyes. I accept, she whispered. And somewhere far away, the waters of Crystal Lake rippled in acknowledgement. Chapter 3: The Fall of Rak. The first sign of the attack was not the sound of marching feet or the beating of wings, but the sudden, violent shudder that tore through the spider network. Every web thread woven through the spider castles vibrated at once, a psychic scream that jolted Queen Azhara from her war table. She felt the tremor in her bones, in her mind, in the very air around her. The southern horizon darkened, and the scent of venom and smoke drifted through the open balcony. They were here. Azhara stepped into the courtyard just as the first wave of Hive Right soldiers descended from the sky. Thousands of bees, wasps, and hornets, their wings beating in a furious storm, their stingers glinting like obsidian daggers. Behind them marched termite shock units and ant troopers, their armor thick, their mandibles clacking in anticipation. And at the center of the advancing swarm, towering above them all, was General Arachnid Dominion. He had changed since she last saw him. His exoskeleton was thicker, darker, reinforced with plates of hardened resin. His eyes burned with hatred, and the jagged scar she had given him years ago pulsed with a sickly glow. He raised a massive warhammer carved from termite stone and pointed it toward the spider castles. Azhara, he roared, his voice echoing across the valley. Come face the end you should have met 10 years ago. Azhara's heart tightened, but she did not flinch. She stepped forward, her 6 arms unfolding with slow, deliberate grace. Her people gathered behind her, spiderkin archers, scorpionkin warriors, tickfolk scouts, but she raised a hand to halt them. Hold the line, she said softly. I will not let him break our home. The Hive Right forces surged forward, a tidal wave of wings and fury. The first stingers struck the castle walls, exploding in bursts of venom. Ant troopers slammed their bodies against the gates, cracking the reinforced wood. Termite units tunneled beneath the ground, emerging inside the courtyard in a spray of dirt and mandibles. Azhara inhaled deeply, letting her psychic walls fall just enough to draw power from the ancestral memory encoded in her blood. Her exoskeleton shimmered, shifting from smooth humanoid elegance to something sharper, more primal. Her eyes darkened, splitting into 8 gleaming facets. Her fingers elongated into hooked talons. She leapt into the fray. Her movements were a blur. Silk threads slicing through wings, psychic blasts knocking soldiers from the sky, venom-tipped claws tearing through armor. She moved with a grace that defied gravity, weaving between attackers, striking with lethal precision. Every motion was a dance, every strike a promise. You will not take my people. But even as she fought, the enemy numbers swelled. The Hive Right forces were relentless, their formation tightening around her. Stingers grazed her arms. Mandibles snapped at her legs. She felt the pressure closing in, and then the air changed. A cold mist swept across the battlefield, rolling in from the northern ridge like a living tide. The ground trembled as water surged upward, forming spiraling columns that twisted into humanoid shapes. Dozens of water golems rose from the earth, their bodies shimmering with liquid power. At their head was Flood. He descended like a falling star, landing between Azhara and the advancing swarm. His voice resonated with calm authority. "Queen Azhara, step back." She obeyed without hesitation. Flood raised his arms, and the battlefield erupted. Water burst from the ground in towering geysers, sweeping Hive Right soldiers into the air. Blades of hardened water sliced through wings and armor. Waves crashed outward, knocking entire battalions off their feet. Flood moved with impossible speed, his body shifting from liquid to solid and back again, each transformation a weapon. A hornet captain lunged at him, stinger aimed for his core. Flood caught the stinger in one hand, his fingers turning to ice, freezing the hornet solid before shattering him with a flick of his wrist. A squad of termite shock troopers charged, their mandibles glowing with acid. Flood summoned a vortex beneath them, pulling them into a whirlpool of crushing pressure until their bodies dissolved into fragments. He fought not with rage, but with purpose, calm, precise, devastating. Azhara watched in awe. She had known the golems of the Dark Lord were powerful, but seeing Flood unleashed was like witnessing a storm given form. And yet, beneath the destruction, she sensed something else, a quiet hope, a longing she had not expected. The Dark Lord was fighting not just for Darklore. He was fighting for her. Rak roared in fury as his forces fell around him. He charged through the chaos, his warhammer crackling with energy. "Golem," he bellowed. "You dare stand between me and my vengeance?" Flood turned to face him. "General Rak Thryn't, you threaten the Queen. You threaten the Pact. You will not proceed." Rak swung his hammer with earth-shaking force. Flood caught the blow with both hands, water hardening into crystal around his arms. The impact sent shockwaves through the courtyard, cracking stone and shattering nearby pillars. "You are strong," Flood said calmly, "but not strong enough." He unleashed a torrent of water that slammed Rak into the castle wall. The termite general roared, tearing himself free, his armor cracking. He lunged again, but Azhara intercepted him this time. Her psychic power flared, forming a web of shimmering energy that wrapped around Rak's limbs. She leapt onto him, her claws sinking into the gaps in his armor. Rak thrashed, but she held firm, her 8 eyes burning with fury. "You should have stayed in exile," she hissed. With a final surge of strength, she drove her talons into his chest, piercing his heart. Rak's roar died in his throat. His body collapsed, crumbling into dust and resin. The battlefield fell silent. The Hive Right forces, leaderless and broken, retreated into the sky. The ant and termite units scattered. The spider castles stood battered but unbroken. Azhara stood over Rak's remains, her breath trembling. She felt no triumph. Only exhaustion and the faint ache of fear she still refused to show. Flood approached her, his form flickering with strain. "Queen Azhara, I must deliver your acceptance to the Dark Lord." She nodded. "Go. And thank you." Flood bowed. "It is my purpose. And my honor." He rose into the air on a spiraling column of water, streaking across the sky like a comet. Azhara watched him go, a strange heaviness settling in her chest. Hours passed. Then the spider network screamed again. Azhara staggered as a psychic shockwave tore through the threads. Images flooded her mind, Flood soaring over the plains, 3 elite flying ants descending upon him, their bodies armored in obsidian chitin. General Vrax rising from the shadows, his mandibles dripping with venom. Flood fought valiantly, his water blades slicing through the air, his body shifting between forms. But Vrax was relentless, his strength monstrous, his armor impenetrable. The ants struck from all sides, tearing at Flood's limbs, ripping through his liquid form faster than he could reform. Azhara felt the moment it happened. Flood's core cracked. His body collapsed into a cascade of water, falling to the earth in a shimmering rain. His consciousness flickered, then vanished. The spider network fell silent. Azhara sank to her knees, her hands trembling. The courtyard around her blurred. Her people called her name, but she barely heard them. Flood was gone, and Dark Lore had not yet answered. The Dominions stood alone once more, battered, bleeding, and waiting for a savior who might never come. Chapter 4. The Dark Lord descends. The first deaths came at dawn. Not with screams, not with battle cries, but with silence. Hive Right soldiers stationed along the southern grove simply fell. Their wings stopped mid-beat. Their bodies dropped from the sky like autumn leaves. No wounds. No venom. No visible cause. Just lifeless forms scattered across the forest canopy. The spider network trembled with confusion. Scouts whispered of shadows moving without wind. Of a presence that passed through battalions like a cold breath. Of a figure walking alone through the southern fields, leaving only stillness in his wake. By midday, entire companies of bees and hornets lay dead, their armor cracked as if crushed by invisible force. The survivors fled in terror, spreading rumors faster than they could fly. A wizard. A demon. A god wearing mortal shape. Azhara listened to every report with growing dread. She stood on the balcony of the spider castles, her hands gripping the railing as the wind carried the smell of pure air, without scent. Her people moved below her in frantic patterns, tending to the wounded, reinforcing the walls, preparing for another assault that might never come. Then the heralds arrived. They ran through the courtyard breathless, their voices cracking with disbelief. "He stands at the gates," one cried. "Who?" Azhara demanded, though her heart already knew. "The Dark Lord Carrion." The world seemed to tilt. Azhara felt her breath catch, her pulse quicken. She had imagined this moment, feared it, hoped for it, dreaded it. But nothing could have prepared her for the reality. She descended the steps of the palace, her council trailing behind her. The gates of the spider castles loomed ahead, massive and ancient, carved with the history of her people. They shook not from attack, but from the sheer force of the presence waiting beyond them. The gates opened, and there he stood. Dark Lord Carrion was not tall, yet he filled the world. His cloak billowed behind him though there was no wind. His eyes glowed with a soft, impossible light, as if reflecting stars no one else could see. His hair fell like strands of shadow, shifting subtly with each breath. The air around him shimmered, bending as though reality itself bowed to his existence. Behind him lay the bodies of 50,000 Hive Right soldiers, scattered across the valley like broken toys. Not burned, not torn, simply ended. Azhara felt her knees weaken. Carrion stepped forward, his boots touching the stone with a sound that echoed like a heartbeat. He did not wait for permission. He did not bow. He did not acknowledge the guards who trembled at his approach. He walked straight toward her. Her council gasped as he crossed the threshold of the palace without invitation. Ministers stumbled back. Warriors lowered their weapons instinctively, as if some primal instinct warned them not to provoke him. Azhara stood her ground. Carrion stopped before her, close enough that she could feel the warmth radiating from him. His eyes swept over her slowly, deliberately, taking in her height, her 6 arms, her exoskeleton that shimmered with subtle iridescence. He reached out and took her hand. Gasps filled the hall. No one touched the queen. No one dared. Carrion lifted her effortlessly from her throne, raising her until her feet left the ground. She felt weightless, suspended in a moment that stretched like silk. "Acceptable," he murmured. The word vibrated through her mind, not cruel, not dismissive, simply factual, as though he were confirming something ancient and inevitable. He set her down gently, then turned away from her as if the matter were settled. "Bring me your reports," he said, his voice echoing through the chamber. 10 years of military, agricultural, and economic data. Now, no one moved. Carrion's eyes flicked toward Minister Velra. She froze, her breath catching in her throat. His gaze was not angry, but it carried a weight so profound, so absolute, that she shrank back in terror. Azhara raised a hand. "Do as he says." Her people scattered, scrambling to gather scrolls, tablets, and woven data threads. Carrion floated upward, crossing the chamber without walking, his hands clasped behind his back. He examined the architecture, the tapestries, the weapons on the walls, as though cataloging every detail. Azhara followed him, her steps slow, her heart pounding. He spoke without turning. "You hide your mind well." She stiffened. "I must. My people cannot sense my fear." Carrion turned to her then, and the world seemed to narrow to the space between them. His eyes glowed brighter, and she felt something brush against her consciousness, gentle, warm, like a hand resting on her shoulder. "You do not need to hide from me," he said. Her psychic walls, walls she had built since childhood, walls no one had ever breached, shuddered. She felt her stress, her fear, her loneliness, all the burdens she carried, pulled gently into a single place. Not erased, not dismissed, simply held. Her breath hitched. Carrion's voice softened. "You have carried too much for too long." She wanted to deny it. She wanted to stand tall. But her mind leaned toward his warmth, like a starving creature seeking fire. Her council returned with the reports. Carrion extended his hand, and the materials rose into the air, swirling around him in a vortex of data. He read them all in seconds, his eyes flickering with impossible speed. Then he descended to the center of the chamber. "Bring me metal," he said. "Stone, silk, wood, and a drop of your venom." Azhara hesitated only a moment before extending her hand. A single drop of venom fell into his palm. Carrion closed his fingers around it. The chamber shook. Materials flew toward him, ingots, planks, coils of silk, shards of crystal. They twisted together, reshaping, reforming, contorting into a humanoid shape. Legs elongated, arms multiplied. A head formed, crowned with delicate antennae and subtle mandibles. A humanoid spider golem stood before them, its eyes glowing with soft blue light. Carrion placed his hand on its chest. "You are Webster," he said, "governor of the Arachnid Dominion. You will protect these people. You will maintain their borders. You will ensure their prosperity. You will never harm an arachnid." Webster bowed deeply. "I obey." Carrion turned to the stunned council. "Your famine ends today. Your borders will not fall. Your people will not die without cause. Your forests will regrow. Your water will run clean." Azhara stared at him, her heart pounding. You have taken control." Carrion stepped closer, his voice low. "I have given you stability, and I will give you more." Her mind brushed his again, and she felt it, warmth, certainty, a presence that steadied her in ways she had never known. For the first time since the war began, the crushing weight on her chest eased. Hope bloomed. Carrion reached out, touching her cheek with a gentleness that contradicted the devastation he had wrought outside her walls. "You are not alone anymore," he said. And for the first time in her life, she believed it. Chapter 5: The Hive Right's Secret Plea. The Hive Right scout collapsed at the foot of the spider castles just after dawn, her wings torn, her armor cracked, her breath shallow. The guards rushed to her, but she pushed them away with trembling hands, insisting she speak only to the queen. Azhara descended the steps herself, her 6 arms lifting the battered bee woman with surprising gentleness. The scout's eyes widened at the touch, as though she had expected cruelty instead of compassion. "High Matriarch Vespera," she rasped. She needs you." Azhara's heart tightened. "What has happened?" The scout's voice broke. "A coup. The generals, they seized the capital. They allied with the Mounding Empire. They plan to turn the Hive Right into a weapon against you. Vespera is imprisoned. They mean to execute her and her counselors." Azhara felt the world tilt. The Hive Right had been enemies, yes, but Vespera had always been honorable. A coup meant something far worse was brewing. Something orchestrated. something that smelled of the Mounding Empire's influence and was now pressing Azhara to reckless anger. Before she could speak, a familiar warmth brushed her mind, soft, steady, unmistakable. I heard. Azhara turned. Carrion stood behind her, though she had not sensed him arrive. His presence filled the courtyard like a rising tide, quiet but overwhelming. The scout gasped and bowed so quickly she nearly collapsed again. Carrion's eyes glowed faintly as he regarded the wounded messenger. You have done well. Rest. The scout fell unconscious, as if his voice alone had granted her permission. Azhara stared at him, her arachnid mind already calculating. You intend to go? Carrion stepped closer, his cloak trailing behind him like a living shadow. We intend to go. Azhara felt her pulse quicken. Alone? He nodded. Armies are unnecessary. There was no arrogance in his tone, only fact. Azhara exhaled, steadying herself. Then I will go with you. Carrion's gaze softened. I expected nothing less. They left the spider castles within the hour, moving through the forests with impossible speed. Carrion did not run, he simply moved, and the world seemed to fold around him. Azhara kept pace only because he allowed her to, his presence guiding her steps, his psychic warmth steadying her flight beside him. She had never traveled with someone who made the world feel smaller, safer, quieter. It unsettled her. It comforted her. By nightfall, they reached the Hive Right capital. The city was in chaos. Fires burned along the outer walls. Soldiers patrolled the streets in tight formations, their stingers drawn, their armor marked with the sigils of the usurpers. The air buzzed with tension and fear. Carrion did not slow. He walked straight toward the gates, and the guards froze as he approached. One raised his weapon, but his hand trembled violently. Another tried to shout an order, but the words died in his throat. Carrion lifted a single finger. The gates exploded inward. Azhara shielded her face from the blast of dust and splintered wood. When she lowered her arms, she saw the guards lying unconscious, not dead, not harmed, simply silenced. Carrion stepped over them without breaking stride. Azhara followed, her heart pounding. She had seen power before. Her own, her ancestors, the might of the Dominion, but nothing like this. Carrion did not fight. He did not threaten. He simply existed, and the world bent around him. Inside the capital, the usurpers rallied quickly. Hornet captains swooped from the rooftops, their stingers glowing with venom. Wasp soldiers charged from alleyways, their wings buzzing in coordinated attack patterns. A squad of elite B-troopers descended from the sky, their armor gleaming. Carrion raised his hand. The air rippled. Every soldier froze mid-flight, suspended as though caught in invisible amber. Their wings beat helplessly, their bodies straining against an unseen force. Carrion's voice was calm. Lay down your arms. The soldiers dropped to the ground, their weapons clattering beside them. Some trembled. Some wept. None dared move. Azhara stared, breathless. She had expected violence. She had expected destruction. But Carrion's restraint was more terrifying than any slaughter. He did not need to kill to conquer. He simply chose not to. They reached the throne chamber, where the usurper general, an enormous hornet with jagged scars, stood over Vespera, who was bound to her own throne. Her wings were clipped, her crown shattered at her feet. The hornet general snarled. Who dares? Carrion appeared before him in a blink. The general's words died. Carrion placed a hand on his shoulder. The hornet collapsed, unconscious before he hit the floor. Azhara rushed to Vespera, cutting her bindings along her legs and arms with a flick of her claws and removing the heavy clip against her wings. The High Matriarch sagged into her arms, trembling. Azhara, she whispered. You came. Azhara held her tightly. You are not alone. Carrion watched them with unreadable eyes. Then he turned to the shattered buzz network, rows of honeycomb-shaped data cells, cracked and leaking information like sap. He lifted his hand. The cells reformed instantly, glowing with renewed energy. Data threads wove themselves back into place. The entire network hummed with restored life. Azhara and Vespera stared in awe. Carrion stepped forward, touching the central node. This system is inefficient. Vulnerable. It requires a governor. I require an ounce of your venom, Vespera. The matriarch's eyes glimmered at his words. She stared at first at Azhara, and then to Carrion and placed a dripping hand forward. The dark brown venom rose from her thin fingertips and into a shimmering swirl of moving minerals on the floor under Carrion's power. Materials rose from the floor: wax, resin, metal, silk, crystal. They twisted together, forming a humanoid shape with wings of golden lattice and eyes of amber light. Carrion placed his hand on its chest. "You are Beenox," he said, "governor of the Hive Right. You will protect these people. You will maintain their prosperity. You will never harm a Hive Right citizen." Beenox bowed. "I obey." Vespera stared at Carrion, her voice trembling. Why help us?" Carrion turned to her. "Because your people were used. Because your honor was stolen. Because you asked." Vespera swallowed. "And what do you ask in return?" Carrion stepped closer, his presence enveloping her like a warm storm. "The same I asked of Azhara. You will belong to me now, Vespera." Azhara felt her breath catch. Vespera's wings fluttered nervously. "I must belong to you?" Carrion nodded. "If you wish." Vespera looked at Azhara, searching her face for fear, for regret, for warning. She found none. Azhara stepped forward, placing a hand on Vespera's shoulder. "He is direct. He is powerful. But he is not cruel." Carrion's voice softened. "I do not take. I bind. I protect. I share." Vespera exhaled shakily. "Then, I accept." Carrion extended his hands. The air thickened with scent. Honey, silk, earth, rain. Azhara felt her senses sharpen, her mind opening as Carrion's presence wrapped around her. Vespera trembled beside her, her wings fluttering as the psychic warmth enveloped her too. Carrion leaned in, inhaling deeply, not at their bodies, but at their essence. Their souls, their histories, their fears, their strengths. Azhara felt something inside her unlock. Vespera gasped, her knees buckling. Carrion's voice echoed through their minds. "I know you. I see you. I will protect you." Power flowed into them, warm, steady, ancient. Azhara felt her psychic abilities sharpen, her sight expand. Vespera felt her wings strengthen, her venom deepen, her senses flowing. When it ended, the three of them stood in a quiet circle, bound by something deeper than pact or politics. Azhara met Carrion's gaze. Vespera did too, and both queens realized the same truth at once. He was not what they had been taught to fear. He was far more, and far better, and far more dangerous, and far more comforting. Carrion stepped back, his voice calm. "Your nations will thrive. Your borders will hold. Your people will prosper." Azhara felt warmth bloom in her chest. Vespera felt her wings steady. Carrion turned toward the door. "Come, there is much to rebuild." And as the queens followed him, they realized something they had never expected. They were no longer walking behind a conqueror. They were walking beside the only being who had ever made them feel truly safe. Chapter 6: The Three Crowns. The return to the Arachnid Dominion felt like stepping into a dream Azhara had never dared imagine. The spider castles, once strained by war and scarcity, now thrummed with life. Roads that had been cracked and overgrown were newly paved with shimmering stone, reinforced by Webster's tireless hands. Silk bridges stretched across ravines, woven with geometric precision only a golem could maintain. Water flowed clean and clear through channels that had been dry for years. Children played in the courtyards, their laughter echoing through halls that had once known only the sound of marching soldiers. Azhara walked through her kingdom in a daze, her 6 hands brushing the walls, the railings, the newly planted gardens. Everywhere she looked, she saw the touch of dark lore, not oppressive, not domineering, but stabilizing, healing, strengthening. Webster stood at the center of the main square, issuing instructions to a group of Spiderkin architects. His voice was calm, efficient, and oddly gentle. The new housing district will be completed by dusk. Ensure the silk-reinforced beams are aligned with the structural lattice. Safety is paramount. Azhara watched him with quiet awe. He was not alive, not truly, yet he cared. He cared because Carrion had shaped him to care. Because Carrion had shaped him for her. Beside her, Vespera Sunsting took in the scene with wide, astonished eyes. The Hive Right queen had regained her strength since the coup, her wings fully healed, her posture regal once more. "Your dominion thrives," she murmured. "It is beautiful." Azhara smiled softly. "Yours does as well." It was true. When they had returned from the Hive Right capital, they found Beenox already hard at work. The buzz network had been restored, expanded, and optimized. Food production had doubled. Water purification systems had been installed. The Hive Right's once fractured infrastructure now pulsed with new life. Carrion had done all of it. And he had done it without asking for praise. Azhara felt a warmth in her chest she could not name. Carrion stood at the edge of the square, watching the two queens with an expression that was not quite a smile, but something close. His presence drew the eye effortlessly. Not because he demanded attention, but because the world seemed to bend subtly around him, as though acknowledging his importance. He approached them with quiet steps, his cloak trailing behind him like a shadow that had learned to walk. "Your nations stabilize quickly," he said. "Good. Stability is the foundation of expansion." Vespera tilted her head. "Expansion?" Carrion nodded. "Your people grow. Your resources increase. Your borders strengthen. It is natural to expand once internal needs are met." Azhara felt a flicker of excitement and fear. But the war continues. Carrion's eyes darkened. "Yes, and it must end." The words hung in the air like a decree. Azhara exchanged a glance with Vespera. They both felt it, the certainty, the inevitability. Carrion did not speak in possibilities. He spoke in outcomes. He turned toward the horizon. "The Beetle Accord is not your enemy. They fight because they must. Because the Mounding Empire forces their hand. We will speak with their warlord." Azhara stepped closer. "We." Carrion looked at her, and the warmth she felt earlier surged through her again, settling deep in her chest. "We," he repeated. "The three of us." Vespera's wings fluttered. "Together." Carrion's gaze softened. "You are bound to me. And I to you. We act as one." Azhara felt her breath catch. The bond they shared, the psychic connection forged during the ritual, pulsed faintly in her mind. She could feel Vespera's emotions like distant echoes. She could feel Carrion's presence like a warm hand resting on her shoulder, steadying her, grounding her. It was not control. It was connection. And it was unlike anything she had ever known. They traveled east toward the wastes, accompanied only by the wind and the distant hum of the golems working tirelessly behind them. Webster oversaw the Dominion. Beenox tended to the Hive Right. Mountain reinforced the ore mines. Flood, newly reconstructed, patrolled the waterways and ports of Crystal Lake with renewed purpose. The golems were not soldiers. They were guardians. And they were loyal to Carrion with a devotion that bordered on reverence. Azhara felt it through the bond, the way they responded to his presence, the way they quieted when he spoke, the way they seemed to glow with purpose when he gave them tasks. They were extensions of him, pieces of his will given form. And yet, they were individuals too. Webster's calm logic. Beenox's meticulous precision. Mountain's slow, steady patience. Flood's gentle hopefulness. Carrion had created them all. And he had created them for the world he intended to build. When they reached the Beetle Accord's war camp, they were greeted not with hostility, but with wary respect. Warlord Crag Iron Carapace emerged from his tent, his massive frame casting a long shadow across the sand. His armor was thick, his mandibles sharp, but his eyes held wisdom. He bowed, not deeply, but enough to acknowledge the gravity of the moment. "Dark Lord Carrion," he rumbled. "Queens of the Dominion and Hive Right. You honor me." Carrion inclined his head. "We come to end the war." Crag snorted. "If it were that simple, I would have ended it myself. The Mounding Empire pushes us. They want the wastes. They want the mountains. They want everything. Azhara stepped forward. We know. They have manipulated the Hive Right. They have attacked my dominion. They have stirred chaos across the continent. Vespera added, they must be stopped. Crag studied them for a long moment. Then he nodded. Then I stand with you. The Accord will not oppose your efforts. The Empire is the true threat. Carrion's eyes glowed faintly. Good. Then we move. They traveled north, toward the jagged peaks where the Mounding Empire's fortresses loomed. The air grew colder, the ground harder, the sky darker. Azhara felt tension coil in her stomach. Vespera's wings twitched nervously. Carrion walked ahead of them, silent, focused, his presence a steady beacon in the growing gloom. They reached the outskirts of the Empire's territory just as the first attack came. A swarm of elite flying ants descended from the cliffs, their bodies armored in obsidian chitin, their mandibles dripping with venom. Behind them marched termite shock units, their claws glowing with acidic energy. Azhara's heart pounded. Vespera's wings flared. Carrion's eyes narrowed. And then he saw him. General Vrax, the hulking ant commander who had destroyed Flood. Carrion's aura changed instantly. The air thickened. The ground trembled. Azhara felt the bond pulse violently, a surge of emotion so powerful it nearly brought her to her knees. Rage. Cold, ancient, absolute. Carrion stepped forward, his voice low and dangerous. You, Vrax sneered. You should have stayed in your mountains, wizard. Carrion raised his hand. The world exploded. Flood descended from the sky in a torrent of water, his reconstructed form gleaming with renewed strength. Webster leapt from the cliffs, his limbs slicing through the air with lethal precision. Beenock soared overhead, releasing bursts of sonic energy that shattered enemy formations. Mountain erupted from the earth, his massive stone body crushing battalions beneath him. The golems unleashed elemental fury. Water surged like a living serpent, drowning entire ranks. Stone pillars erupted from the ground, impaling soldiers. Sonic waves tore through the sky, ripping wings from bodies. Silk blades sliced through armor like paper. Azhara and Vespera fought beside them, their powers amplified by the bond. Azhara's psychic webs crackled with energy, ensnaring enemies in shimmering traps. Vespera's venom burned hotter, her stinger striking with supernatural precision. Carrion moved through the battlefield like a storm given flesh. He did not shout. He did not rage. He simply destroyed. Every step he took shattered the ground. Every gesture sent shockwaves through the air. Every glance broke the will of those who dared face him. When he reached Vrax, the general swung his massive claws, roaring with fury. Carrion caught them with one hand. The air went silent. You destroyed what was mine, Carrion said softly. Vrax struggled, but Carrion's grip tightened. You will not do so again. With a single motion, Carrion crushed him. The battlefield froze. The Mounding Empire's forces broke. And the queens realized something with absolute clarity. Carrion was not merely powerful. He was inevitable. As the dust settled, Carrion turned to them, his expression softening. The bond pulsed gently, warm and steady, wrapping around their minds like a protective embrace. Azhara stepped toward him, her breath trembling. Vespera joined her, her wings folding close. Chapter 7: The Fall of the Mounding Empire. The Mounding Empire's final stronghold rose from the mountains like a jagged wound, its towers carved from blackened resin and reinforced with layers of hardened earth. The air around it vibrated with the hum of countless soldiers preparing for war. But the moment Carrion, Azhara, and Vespera stepped into the valley, the hum faltered. A strange stillness spread across the ranks, as if the land itself sensed what was coming. Then the ground shook. Flood descended first, a spiraling torrent of water that struck the earth with the force of a falling star. His reconstructed form gleamed with renewed strength, water swirling around him like a living cloak. Webster leapt from a cliff, landing beside him with a metallic thud, his limbs unfolding with lethal precision. Beenock soared overhead, wings humming with sonic energy that rippled through the air. Mountain erupted from the earth, towering above them all, his stone body glowing with molten veins of power. The golems advanced. The Empire's fortresses trembled as mountains slammed his fists into the ground, sending shockwaves that cracked foundations and toppled towers. Flood unleashed tidal waves that swept through battalions, scattering soldiers like leaves. Webster moved with impossible speed, slicing through enemy formations with silk blades that shimmered like moonlight. Beenox's sonic bursts shattered the wings of elite flyers, sending them spiraling into the dust. Azhara and Vespera fought beside them, their powers amplified by the bond they shared with Carrion. Azhara's psychic webs crackled with energy, ensnaring soldiers in shimmering traps that immobilized them instantly. Vespera's venom burned hotter than ever, her stinger striking with supernatural precision, each blow disabling an enemy without ending their life. Carrion walked at the center of it all, untouched by the chaos. His presence alone bent the battlefield around him. Soldiers who dared approach him faltered, their resolve crumbling beneath the weight of his gaze. The air shimmered with his power, a silent storm waiting to be unleashed. The Empire's forces broke before them, scattering in panic. But the heart of the Empire remained untouched, the central citadel where the Twin Queens and Sister Seer Chrysal awaited. Azhara felt the bond pulse with warning as they approached. Vespera's wings twitched nervously. Even the golem slowed, sensing something unnatural ahead. The citadel doors opened. The Twin Queens emerged first, Mirix, the ant-blooded queen, her armor gleaming with crimson resin, and Terraloon, the termite-blooded queen, her body reinforced with pale, chitinous plates. Between them stood Sister Seer Chrysal, her blind eyes glowing with eerie luminescence. Chrysal smiled, a thin, unsettling curve of mandibles. So, the abomination arrives. Carrion did not react, but Azhara felt a flicker of tension through the bond. Chrysal stepped forward, her voice carrying across the ruined courtyard. Shall I tell them what you are, Dark Lord? Shall I reveal the truth you hide behind your power? Vespera bristled. Your lies won't save you. Chrysal laughed, a sound like cracking stone. Lies? No. Truth. This creature you follow, he is no pure being. His blood is a hybrid of countless species. Ant termite, spider, bee, scorpion, and something else. Something not of this world. Azhara felt the words strike her like a blow. Vespera stiffened beside her. The golem stood silent, waiting. Chrysal's voice rose. He is an abomination. A mistake. A monster wearing a man's shape. Will you still stand beside him, queens? Will you still give yourselves to him? Azhara looked at Carrion. He did not flinch. He did not deny it. He simply met her gaze with quiet certainty, the bond between them warm and steady. Azhara stepped forward. We stand with him. Vespera joined her. Your manipulation fails. Chrysal's smile twisted. Then you will fall with him. She raised her hands. The sky darkened. A cold wind swept through the valley, carrying whispers from a place beyond the mortal world. Shadows twisted around Chrysal's body, warping her form, stretching her limbs, splitting her carapace. Her blind eyes burned with unnatural fire as she grew taller, broader, monstrous. Wings of blackened bone erupted from her back, mandibles elongated into jagged sides. She had become a demon insect, a creature of the outer dark. The ground cracked beneath her feet. The battle erupted instantly. The demon lunged at Azhara and Vespera, her claws slicing through the air with terrifying speed. Azhara leapt aside, her psychic webs forming a barrier that cracked under the demon's strength. Vespera struck with her stinger, but the venom sizzled harmlessly against the demon's hide. The termite queen, Terraloon, attempted to intervene, but the demon's tail lashed out, striking her across the chest. She fell, wounded but alive. Mirix, the ant queen, charged with a roar, her mandibles glowing with acid. The demon seized her by the throat and crushed her with a single motion, dropping her lifeless body to the ground. Azhara cried out, fury igniting in her chest. She unleashed a psychic blast that staggered the demon, while Vespera's wings generated a sonic burst that cracked the demon's carapace. But it wasn't enough. The demon turned toward them, eyes burning with hatred. Carrion stepped forward. The battlefield fell silent. The demon lunged, claws raised. Carrion lifted his hand. The air rippled. Azhara felt the bond surge, a wave of power so immense it stole her breath. Vespera staggered, overwhelmed by the force radiating from him. Even the golems paused, their bodies humming with resonance. Carrion's voice was soft. Enough. The demon froze mid-strike, suspended in the air as if caught in invisible chains. Her limbs twisted, her wings shattered, her body contorting under the pressure of Carrion's will. She shrieked, a sound that tore through the valley, but Carrion did not waver. He closed his hand. The demon vanished, not destroyed, not killed, but erased, ripped from existence by a force too vast to comprehend. Silence fell. Azhara and Vespera stared at him, awe and fear and relief swirling inside them. The bond pulsed gently, soothing their racing hearts. Carrion turned to the surviving termite queen. Terraloon trembled, clutching her wound. He spoke calmly. End your aggression. Withdraw your armies. Break your alliance with the Empire. Terraloon nodded frantically. Yes, I will. I swear it. Carrion's eyes softened. Then you may live. She sagged with relief. But you will not receive Darklor's protection. Her face fell, but she did not argue. The war was over. Azhara stepped to Carrion's side, her breath trembling. Vespera joined her, wings folding close. The three of them stood together amid the ruins of the Empire, the bond between them warm and steady. Carrion looked at them both, his voice quiet. It is done. And for the first time in generations, Insectopia knew peace. Epilogue, the meeting of the three. The war ended not with a roar, but with a long, trembling exhale that seemed to ripple across the entire continent. The Mounding Empire's banners fell. The Hive Right and Arachnid Dominion rebuilt in harmony. The Beetle Accord withdrew to their wastes, content to heal their wounds. And for the first time in generations, Insectopia slept without fear. Carrion stood on the balcony of the spider castles, the night wind brushing against his cloak. Below him, the valley shimmered with new life, crops flourishing, rivers flowing clean, roads glowing faintly with the energy of the golems who maintained them. Webster patrolled the streets with tireless precision. Beenox oversaw the Hive Right's new trade routes. Mountain reinforced the mines. Flood guided the waterways with gentle vigilance. Azhara and Vespera stood beside him, their presence warm, steady, familiar. The bond between them pulsed softly, a quiet rhythm that soothed the mind and anchored the heart. They had grown accustomed to the comfort of it, the way Carrion's presence steadied their thoughts, the way their own emotions flowed through the connection without fear or shame. Azhara leaned against the railing, her eyes reflecting the moonlight. It feels strange, she murmured. To have peace. Vespera nodded. Strange, but welcome. Carrion said nothing. His gaze was fixed on the horizon, where the sky shimmered with faint, shifting colors, a sign only he could read. Azhara sensed the change in him. Something approaches. Carrion's eyes glowed faintly. Someone. The air behind them rippled. Azhara and Vespera turned as a figure stepped out of the distortion, tall, broad-shouldered, wrapped in a cloak of swirling void energy. His hair was dark, his skin tinged blue, his eyes burning with cosmic fire just like Carrion's. His presence was overwhelming, yet strangely familiar, as though the world itself recognized him. Azhara felt her breath catch. Vespera's wings trembled. Carrion did not move. The newcomers smiled, a warm, knowing smile that carried centuries of knowing truth. You've done well, he said. Carrion inclined his head. Lord Kenneth Voidcrusher. Azhara's heart pounded. She had heard the name whispered in ancient tomes and even older seers' chronicles along the spider network. The Chaos Lord of Truth who walked between worlds, the stabilizer of broken realms, the one whose actions shaped destinies. Kenneth stepped forward, his traveling shoes touching the stone with a sound like distant thunder. I've just finished stabilizing another world. A messy one. Too many collapsing timelines. But it's done now. The Oververse is stabilized. He looked at Carrion with unmistakable pride. And you, he said softly, have done exactly what I intended. Azhara blinked. Intended? Kenneth turned to her, his expression gentle. Carrion is me. Or rather, a version of me. A shard of my essence shaped into a dark lord for this omniverse. I created him to stabilize this realm, to bring order where chaos threatened to consume everything. Vespera's eyes widened. You created him? Kenneth nodded. I placed a bit of myself in this inner verse, and he shaped himself into a dark lord. All three portions of the omniverse needs a stabilizer: the inner, the over, and the under. A guardian. A force that can reshape reality when necessary. Carrion is that force here. Carrion's voice was calm. And you have come to judge my work. Kenneth laughed softly. Judge? No. Celebrate. He stepped closer, placing a hand on Carrion's shoulder. You've done beautifully. Better than I expected. You've united nations, ended wars, restored balance. And you've done it without losing yourself or eating furniture. Azhara felt warmth bloom in her chest, pride, relief, awe. Vespera exhaled shakily. So, what now? Kenneth's expression shifted, becoming more serious. Now we prepare for the final step. Carrion's eyes narrowed. The Shadebringer. Azhara felt a chill run through her. What is that? Kenneth turned toward the horizon, where the sky darkened with swirling shadows. Another version of me. The third. Born in the underverse of this omniverse, a place of shadows, echoes, and forgotten things. He is powerful, but unstable. Untamed. He was meant to balance the darkness as Carrion balances matter, as I balance the light in this omniverse. Vespera swallowed. And he is not stabilized. No, Kenneth said. Not yet. He is lost. He is without a mate. But he will find his way, just as you and I. It is balance that stabilizes us. That fills the void, that satisfies chaos within. Once he is brought into harmony, the three of us, Chaos Lord, Dark Lord, Shadebringer, will form a single cohesive force. A triad capable of stabilizing not just this omniverse, but all omniverse. Azhara stepped closer to Carrion, her voice soft. And you are ready for this? Carrion looked at her, and the bond pulsed with quiet certainty. I am now. Kenneth smiled. Your queens have strengthened you, grounded you, given you something even I did not expect. And without the sex. I'm impressed, though you are biologically compatible. Azhara felt her cheeks warm. Vespera looked away, wings fluttering. Kenneth continued, balance. This is the only thing that matters, even to beings like us. Carrion's voice lowered. When do we begin? Kenneth extended his hand. A portal of swirling void energy opened beside him, its depths shimmering with distant stars and shifting shadows. Soon, he said. The Shadebringer sleeps. One of the group always sleeps. He must be awoken first. And once he is brought into the fold, we will gather all versions of ourselves, every Chaos Lord, every Dark Lord, every Shadebringer, and we will meet under my guidance. We will steamroll the entire cosmos into abject chaos and order, peeling away the outer infestations of death and destruction until they are gone from reality, and only a pure, unfiltered, unaltered reality remains for every being to ever live. Azhara felt the weight of his words settle over her like a mantle of destiny. How could that even be possible? She whispered. Kenneth turned to her, his eyes burning with cosmic purpose. To stabilize every omniverse, he said. To bring order to the infinite. To ensure that no world falls into chaos like so many before. I've never seen them, but I feel them, the void, the unanswered chaos. It's very prickly. Carrion stepped toward the portal, his cloak billowing behind him. He paused only once, turning back to Azhara and Vespera. The bond pulsed warmly, reassuringly. I will return, he said. Azhara nodded, her voice steady despite the ache in her chest. We will be here. Vespera added softly, and we will be ready. Kenneth stepped into the portal. Carrion followed. The portal closed with a soft hum, leaving the queens standing on the balcony beneath the starlit sky. Azhara exhaled slowly. He walks into the unknown. Vespera nodded, but not alone. Azhara looked at the horizon, where the shadows had begun to shift, as though something ancient stirred beneath the surface of reality. "Let the omniverse tremble," she whispered, "for the lords have begun their work." And far beyond the veil of their world, three versions of the same being moved toward one another: Chaos Lord, Dark Lord, Shadebringer, ready to unite under a single purpose: the stabilization of everything. The true beginning of Lord Kenneth Voidcrusher's grand design, and an omniversal clash that could alter an entire cosmos and beyond. Bonus epilogue: The Quiet After the Storm. The spider castles glowed with soft amber light as evening settled across the Dominion. Lanterns woven from silk and crystal flickered along the balconies, casting warm patterns across the stone. The air smelled of roasted fruit, spice nectar, and the faint sweetness of flowering webs. For the first time in months, the halls were quiet, not with fear, but with peace. Azhara stood at the head of the long dining table, adjusting the placement of a carved obsidian bowl. Her hands moved with practiced grace, but her mind hummed with anticipation. She had hosted countless dinners in her life, but never one like this. Never one where her heart beat this fast. Vespera entered from the opposite side, her wings shimmering with golden iridescence. She carried a tray of honey-glazed roots and nectar-soaked grains, her expression composed, but her eyes bright with something softer. "You're nervous," Azhara said gently. Vespera smiled. "So are you." Azhara didn't deny it. Before either could say more, the air shifted, a familiar warmth brushing against their minds. Carrion stepped into the chamber, his cloak trailing behind him like a living shadow. But tonight, he did not radiate the overwhelming force of a conqueror or a cosmic stabilizer. Tonight, he felt grounded, present, almost human. He paused at the threshold, taking in the sight of the queens preparing the table themselves. His eyes softened. "You did all this," he said quietly. Azhara nodded. "We wanted tonight to be ours." Vespera added, "A moment without war. Without duty. Just us." Carrion stepped forward, and the bond pulsed warmly between them. He reached out, brushing his fingers along Azhara's cheek, then Vespera's. The touch was gentle, reverent, as though he were memorizing the shape of their faces. "You honor me," he murmured. Azhara felt her breath catch. Vespera's wings fluttered softly. They took their seats, Azhara on Carrion's right, Vespera on his left. The table was filled with dishes from both nations. Roasted beetle fruit, spiced nectar, silk-wrapped grains, honeyed roots, and crystalline water drawn from the purified rivers. It was a feast of unity, a symbol of everything they had built together. Carrion tasted each dish with quiet curiosity, mirroring the queen's movements as he had promised he would. Azhara watched him, warmth blooming in her chest. Vespera leaned closer, her voice soft. "You don't have to mimic us," she said. Carrion looked at her, his expression thoughtful. "I do it because I want you to feel at ease. Because I want you to know I am here with you, not above you." Azhara felt her heart tighten. "You don't need to prove anything to us." Carrion's gaze shifted between them. "Perhaps not, but I want to." The bond pulsed again, stronger this time, warmer, like a shared heartbeat. Azhara felt Vespera's emotions through it: curiosity, admiration, a growing affection she had tried to hide even from herself. Vespera felt Azhara's own feelings in return. The quiet longing, the relief, the sense of safety she had never known before Carrion. Carrion felt both of them. He set down his cup and leaned back slightly, his voice low. "You have given me something I did not expect." Azhara tilted her head. "What is that?" "Belonging." The word hung in the air like a fragile jewel. Vespera reached out, placing her hand over his. "You belong with us." Azhara placed her hand atop Vespera's. "And we with you." Carrion looked at their joined hands, and something in his expression softened, something ancient and lonely finally finding rest. The bond flared gently, wrapping around them like a warm embrace. Azhara felt Carrion's emotions clearly for the first time. The centuries of solitude, the weight of responsibility, the quiet ache of being needed but never known. Vespera felt it too, her wings trembling with empathy. Carrion exhaled slowly, as though releasing a burden he had carried for lifetimes. Azhara shifted closer, her voice barely above a whisper. "You don't have to carry everything alone anymore." Vespera leaned in from the other side. "We're here. Truly here." Carrion looked at them both, and for the first time, the cosmic certainty in his eyes softened into something deeply human. He placed one hand on Azhara's cheek, the other on Vespera's. The bond pulsed, warm and steady, weaving their emotions together, not overpowering, not consuming, but harmonizing. Azhara felt her stress melt away, settling into a quiet place where it no longer clawed at her. Vespera felt her fears ease, replaced by a sense of safety she had never known. Carrion felt their warmth, their trust, their acceptance, and something inside him finally relaxed. They leaned into him, the three of them forming a quiet circle of shared breath and steady hearts. No words were needed. The bond spoke for them, a gentle hum of affection, respect, and the beginnings of something deeper. Azhara rested her head against Carrion's shoulder. Vespera rested hers against his other side. Carrion wrapped his arms around them both, holding them with a tenderness that belied his cosmic power. For the first time since the wars began, the queens felt truly safe. For the first time since his creation, Carrion felt truly understood. And for the first time in any of their lives, the future felt not like a burden, but a promise. They stayed like that long after the candles burned low, sharing warmth, sharing silence, sharing the quiet certainty that whatever came next, Shadebringers, omniversal councils, cosmic destinies, they would face it together. As three, as one, as the bond they had chosen.